Every time I confessed to the campus queen, she would send me a red envelope. The first time was 520. The second time was 1314. The third time was 520 wasn't 3 much for. Then she would coldly reject me as her boyfriend. I thought she was just using money to brush me off, a simp. Until one day I picked up her phone. Only then did I discover her phone contained 9,990 candid photos of me. And she had saved my contact as dear husband. It turned out the campus queen had fallen for me at first sight long ago, yet she secretly enjoyed the process of me chasing her. After I learned the truth, I made a phone call. Mom, Dad, I agreed to study abroad. The person I liked also liked me. At that moment, I didn't feel happy. Instead, I felt angry and powerless. In these past 2 years, to be with her, I abandoned all my self-respect. I faced countless classmates' sarcasm and ridicule. Every day, I brought her breakfast. Whenever it rained, I was always the first to appear before her, to offer her an umbrella. My sincere feelings received no response. I also secretly shed tears on countless nights. The next day, I would pick myself up again and chase after her, even to stay by her side. I almost gave up the highly competitive study abroad exchange student slot. I almost gave up. The conversation in the room hadn't ended. Tsundere voice came through. He likes me. He won't run away. The next time he confesses, I'll say yes. This nonchalant, confident tone made me let out a soft chuckle. Next time? There won't be a next time. Now I just want to leave, to completely disappear from her world. The moment I pushed open the door, the chatter in the private room abruptly stopped. Everyone tacitly turned away and started talking about other things, acting as if they hadn't seen me. Tsundere also picked up a glass of wine and joined the game at the table. She maintained a cool and indifferent demeanor, not even bothering to lift her eyelids. I glanced at her. I couldn't help but marvel at her acting skills. They were truly good. Facing the entire room's disregard, I wasn't disappointed at all. I calmly walked to an empty seat in the corner and sat down. For the next hour or so, everyone was chatting warmly, but I sat alone, scrolling on my phone like an invisible person. In the past, whenever Tsundere appeared, I would inevitably find an opportunity to go to her side and try to start various topics to get her attention. Even for this birthday banquet, I had researched her for a long time and asked many people to help persuade her to invite me. Logically speaking, something hard-won should be cherished more. But seeing my nonchalant attitude, it seemed I didn't care about her birthday at all. This indifferent attitude, unlike before, finally made Tsundere unable to maintain her composure. And she looked at me a few more times. After the birthday song was sung and the cake was cut, it was soon time for gift giving. I waited until everyone had given their gifts, then slowly stood up. I took a calendar from my bag and handed it over. Everyone present looked at me in surprise. Because this calendar was only palm-sized, with only 30 pages in total, it looked extremely cheap. I didn't care about anyone else's expressions. I looked at Tsundere and said calmly, Tsundere, starting today, tear off 1 page every day. When you reach the last page, there will be a surprise. That will be the belated birthday gift I prepared for you. Upon hearing this, her dormmates immediately burst into laughter. It's your 100th confession, right? You really have perseverance? You've been persistent for 2 years. You really like Yandere that much? Influenced by these words, Tsundere naturally assumed this was a countdown calendar to my 100th confession. The corners of her lips curved slightly, but were quickly pressed back down, turning into a blank expression. I only said I'd consider it if you confessed 100 times. I only said I'd consider it if you confessed 100 times, but I never said I would definitely agree to be your girlfriend. I knew they had all misunderstood. The day the last page was torn off wasn't the day I would confess. It was the day I would completely disappear from her world. I didn't explain, just chuckled softly. Tsundere, I've chased you for so long, yet I haven't moved you. I'm really curious. What exactly is your ideal type? After I asked, the entire room fell silent. Everyone cast meaningful glances at her. Tsundere stared at me for a few seconds, then silently parted her lips. My ideal type. Her words had just begun. The tightly shut door was pushed open, instantly drawing everyone's attention. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Chu Muxing appeared, holding a beautifully wrapped box, making his entrance. He gave Tsundere a gentle smile. Happy birthday, Yandere. Tsundere's gaze followed the blessing and landed on Chu Muxing. I raised my fingertips and gently tapped the table. The conversation had been interrupted. My ideal type is, of course, someone with a cheerful personality, a clean-cut, handsome boy-next-door type. Hearing such ambiguous words right upon entering, Chu Muxing's face quickly flushed. He happily walked over to her side and handed her the carefully prepared gift. He hoped she would open it on the spot. Attention was quickly diverted, and no one talked about that topic anymore. Watching the two of them, surrounded by the crowd, I didn't show any sadness. Instead, I calmly returned to my original seat. The entire evening, no matter where Suyunro went, Chu Muxing was always by her side. The two of them chatted and laughed, shielding each other from drinks and sharing the same slice of cake. I quietly watched their intimacy, many memories flashing through my mind. Although Suyunro was the campus belle of Qing University, with numerous suitors, she had always kept men at a distance. The only exception was Chu Muxing, who grew up with her as childhood sweethearts. He would fix her messy bangs, accompany her to and from class, and bring her water during basketball game breaks. These acts of favoritism, in my eyes, were like thorns piercing my heart, one by one. But on the day I learned the truth, I finally understood. Although Suyunro and Chu Muxing were childhood sweethearts, they hadn't been close before then. Chu Muxing constantly pestered Suyunro, but she had never paid him any mind. It wasn't until my appearance that she deliberately and intentionally acted intimately with Chu Muxing in front of me. It was only because she wanted to make me jealous, and thus create greater motivation for me to pursue her. So seeing Suyunro put on such an act in front of me, such a performance, I only felt a sense of irony. Putting down my wine glass, I got up and went to the restroom. I splashed water on my face, and I sobered up. I first took out a tissue from my bag to wipe the water droplets from my face. My vision was obscured, and I didn't notice someone suddenly standing beside me. It wasn't until I heard Chu Muxing's sarcastic voice that I realized something was wrong. Zheng Haoshan, you've chased Yunro for so many years and she still hasn't said yes. How dare you shamelessly follow her to her birthday party? I'm begging you, she doesn't like you at all. Can't you have some self-awareness? You cheap, clingy thing. Chu Muxing had a refined appearance, but his words were truly vulgar and unbearable. I didn't show the slightest displeasure at his words. I just looked at him indifferently and said, "Are you done?" Chu Muxing didn't expect my reaction to be so calm. He was a bit taken aback, but he didn't want to lose face. He glared at me and said, "Of course not. Do you know what everyone at school says about you? The clingy dog who confessed 99 times. You're a student at least. Don't you have any self-respect? Anyone with eyes can see that Suyunro likes me. Why can't you open your dog eyes and see?" Seeing his aggressive stance, as if he wanted to fight, I remained unfazed. I simply shifted my gaze from him to behind him, reminding him, "Before you insult me, why don't you look behind you?" Chu Muxing followed my gaze and turned around, a puzzled look on his face. He immediately saw Suyunro standing outside the door. She had apparently been standing at the door for a long time. Most likely she had witnessed the entire scene. At this thought, Chu Muxing instantly panicked. His face quickly reverted to its refined appearance, without a trace of arrogance left. He quickly walked to her side, took her arm, and anxiously started explaining, "Yunro, it's not what you saw. It was Zhang Haoshan. He started insulting me first." But Suyunro seemed completely unfazed. Even though she had clearly witnessed Chu Muxing's insults, she acted as if she hadn't seen anything. She looked up at me, then turned and took Chu Muxing's hand. Her tone was extremely gentle. "I believe you. Let's go back." With that, she took his hand and turned back into the private room. Chu Muxing hadn't expected her to have such an attitude. She seemed not to care at all that he had insulted me. He instantly gained confidence. He turned back triumphantly, with a mocking expression, ridiculing my overestimation of myself. I lowered my head and turned to go downstairs. The stairwell was very quiet. Only the sound of my footsteps. In the complete darkness, the events that just unfolded flashed through my mind. I let out a cold laugh. When she had just held Chu Muxing's hand, her gaze clearly fell on me. Yet her mouth was speaking words of concern for Chu Muxing. Honestly, her acting skills were truly superb. If I didn't know the hidden intentions she harbored, I might have really been deceived by her and would have been heartbroken for a long time again. Things like tonight's incident weren't actually happening for the first time. Over the years, to pursue her, I had set aside all my pride and reserve. No matter how much others sneered and mocked, or even cursed me to my face, I never took it to heart. I only wanted to focus on myself and achieve what I desired in my heart, unwilling to leave any regrets. That's why I persisted in confessing 99 times. But the person I had liked for 2 years, because she enjoyed my pursuit, simply ignored all these rumors and insults. The harm this caused me was far deeper than 10,000 insults. At that moment, it was raining heavily outside. Almost all taxis had stopped operating. The group was stranded at the bar entrance. Suyunru called her family's driver, saying she would take Chu Muxing home. Chu Muxing immediately showed a triumphant expression, his eyes glancing sideways at me. His tone was extremely deliberate, Everyone has left so late. Isn't it bad for Zhang Haoshan to wait for a car alone here? Su Yunru took the umbrella handed to her by the driver. Her voice faint. He has legs. After saying that, she didn't even look at my expression and got into the car with Chu Muxing. Watching the sports car slowly disappear into the rain. I didn't mind. I continued to hail a car on the ride-hailing app. After waiting for over 2 hours in the cold wind, the driver finally accepted the order. By the time I got home, it was already 2 a.m. I brushed off the raindrops clinging to my trench coat and slowly walked to my room door to enter the password. As soon as the door opened, the opposite door also opened. Su Yunru walked out with a cold expression, her eyes devoid of warmth. Come back earlier next time. The sound of your door opening is too loud and disturbs my rest. I looked at the clothes she still hadn't changed out of and understood something. I gave a perfunctory, and turned directly into my room. I turned on the light and closed the door. After I changed my shoes, a loud bang only then echoed from outside the door. I didn't pay attention, took off my clothes, and turned on the air conditioner. I wrapped myself in a blanket and lay on the sofa. This apartment, I had bought it half a year ago from someone else, after hearing that Su Yunro had moved out of the dorms. I bought it specifically. To pursue her, I also moved out and became her neighbor. Delivering breakfast in the morning, saying goodnight in the evening, and creating all sorts of coincidental encounters every day, all to win her over. But no matter how much I showed concern and care, she ignored it all, rarely responding. But it wasn't until I uncovered her secret that I realized she had always been pretending not to care. Just like tonight, she had clearly been home for a while, not even changing her clothes. She was just worried about my safety, which is why she didn't sleep. Yet upon seeing me, she deliberately said irrelevant things. Her act of saying one thing and meaning another, I was already tired of watching and didn't want to play along with her anymore. I opened my phone and clicked on a real estate app and listed the property information. Since I had decided to leave, I would sever ties completely. The next morning, the agent came to inspect the apartment. I groggily got up to open the door and explained the basic details of the apartment. Afterward, as I was about to see the person out, the opposite door opened. Su Yunru was about to leave, holding her car keys. Seeing a strange woman beside me, her brows instinctively furrowed. Who is she? My sister-in-law. She came to drop off some things. I lied without changing my expression. The agent beside me immediately looked over with surprise in her eyes, but she had strong professional ethics and didn't expose the lie. She said goodbye and left first. I went back to my room, changed my clothes, and planned to go to school. As I turned the corner, someone was standing by the elevator, blocking the way. I turned my head and saw it was Su Yunru. I couldn't help but feel a little strange. Hadn't she just been about to leave? Why hadn't she left yet? Su Yunru looked at the confusion in my eyes and spoke somewhat unnaturally. I'll take you to school today. I didn't know why she was acting like a different person today, so I shook my head and refused her. But she was like she had taken the wrong medicine, insisting on giving me a ride and making many excuses. From being late to saying it was on her way, I watched as even the excuse of environmental protection is being pulled out. I couldn't refuse her, nor did I want to delay any longer, so I agreed. On the way, neither of us said a word. The car was extremely quiet. She was used to me chattering in her ear. Now seeing me so silent, Su Yunro was very unaccustomed. A flicker of unease crossed her mind. It seemed it wasn't her imagination. He really seemed to have changed these past few days. And these changes inexplicably made her feel a growing panic. Once we arrived at school, I quickly said thank you and left. I strode quickly through the school gate, only to find everyone I passed was staring at me with a strange look. Whispers, Zhang Haoshan. That's him, right? Yes, yes, yes. He's the one from the trending topic. How embarrassing. Hearing these bewildering words, I quickly pulled out my phone and immediately saw links sent by a few friends. I clicked on one and saw that someone had posted about my pursuit of Su Yunru to a gossip forum. It was even a trending topic. Staring at the trending tag, Kingda University's simp guy, I froze. The most popular post under the tag was that submission. It meticulously detailed all my various attempts to pursue her, all compiled. It was written with excruciating detail. Even the contents of my love letters were publicly revealed. From a distance, I saw the school's announcement wall where a large crowd had gathered. It was plastered with my love letters. And this group of people was laughing and commenting aloud. And what was it? Lost in your eyes? So cringy. 99 love letters, each written in a different style. This kind of love-struck obsession is truly terrifying. Wasn't he supposed to be Qingda's top scholar? How could he be such a simp? Listening to these merciless taunts, my heart sank. I rushed into the crowd and started tearing them down one by one. As I tore the last one, I heard Chu Muxing's voice again. Yunru, Zhang Haoshan has confessed to you so many times. How much affection do you have for him? Su Yunro's voice was as cold as ever. She only uttered one word, 0. With both protagonists present, and me being publicly humiliated on the spot, the laughter from the crowd grew more joyful and unrestrained. Some troublemakers, afraid of not stirring up enough chaos, deliberately asked me in a sarcastic tone, Zhang Haoshan, you've confessed 9 times and only got a 0. Don't you need to keep trying? When do you plan to start your next confession? We'd all love to come and watch and learn. How about it? I tightly clutched the torn love letters in my hand. Words rushed to my lips. I was about to speak, but seeing the mocking stares from all directions, I held back. I scoffed, raised the love letters high in my hand, like I was waving a battle flag, and loudly declared, fine. The 100th confession will be at the school's Central Plaza, December 3rd, 9 a.m. All students are welcome to bring friends and observe. After saying that, I ignored the reactions of those around me. I gritted my teeth and strode away from the scene, head held high. I didn't attend classes that morning. Instead, I went home. The faucet slowly filled a basin with water. I plunged my head into the water without hesitation until I felt a suffocating sensation in my chest. Then I propped myself up and got out. Gasping for fresh air, my dizzy, angry mind cleared. I looked at my now calm face in the mirror. I tore those thick love letters one by one, then burned them to ashes and flushed them all down the drain. On the weekend, the club, which had been silent for a long time, suddenly sent a message saying they were having a get-together. I happened to need to submit my withdrawal application, so I went. But as soon as I pushed open the door, I saw Su Yunro, who never participated in these activities, had miraculously shown up. I looked straight ahead, pretending not to see her, and sat down in a corner. As soon as they saw me, a few of Chu Muxing's buddies immediately started playing good cop, bad cop. Chu Muxing, how did Yunro agree to come? That's because Chu Muxing loves a lively crowd. Everyone knows our campus belle only listens to Chu Muxing. I couldn't be bothered with their little tricks, so I casually grabbed a few oranges and started peeling them to eat. Once everyone had gathered, the club president announced the start of the game. I wasn't interested, but I was dragged into participating. I could only force myself to stay alert and play this boring game of truth or dare. After 7 or 8 rounds, it was finally Su Yunru's turn to lose. Everyone cheered excitedly. Oh, our campus belle Su drew a card to kiss any member of the opposite sex present for 3 minutes. Quick, quick! School beauty, who will you choose to take the punishment with you? I knew she wouldn't choose herself, and I didn't care who she chose. I kept my head down, playing with the dice in my hand. And just as I expected, Su Yunro chose Chu Muxing. But she made one request, to turn off all the lights in the room. The room was plunged into darkness. Only heavy breathing could be heard, along with the occasional whispers from the club members. 3 minutes later, the lights came back on. Su Yunro took her seat first. Chu Muxing stood alone, frozen in place. His expression wasn't good. Su Yunro hadn't kissed him. I glanced at her indifferently. Hearing the club president announce the start of a new round, I casually threw the 3 dice in my hand. Out. I didn't expect 3 ones, but I got the lowest score in the room. A bet's a bet. I didn't say a word and drew a card from the pile. It was the same card as before. The exact same punishment. Suddenly, everyone in the room's expressions became excited. Their eyes darted between Su Yunro, Chu Muxing, and me. I pretended not to notice and casually spun the game's spinner. The pointer landed on a junior opposite me. For a moment, everyone thought I was going to back out and held their breath. But I stood up, my expression unchanged, and walked directly to the junior. My tone was full of nonchalance. Trouble you, junior. The junior looked startled and was about to stand up when Su Yunro suddenly stood up abruptly, knocking over her chair. Just as everyone was confused, she coldly interrupted, "We've been playing for so long. I'm a bit tired. It's time for an intermission." "Isn't it?" she spoke. Her dormmates also chimed in, so the president had no choice but to announce that the punishment was paused. During the break, a few girls said they were hungry. A few dormmates quickly dragged the boys in the room downstairs, saying they were going to buy food. They were gone for 20 minutes. Seeing that they weren't returning, the president didn't want to wait any longer and announced that the game would continue. I put down my phone and looked around, only to find that the junior was gone. More precisely, all the girls except Su Yunro had disappeared. I didn't even have to guess. I knew this was another one of Su Yunro's deliberate acts, but I didn't want to fall into her trap. So I picked up the 500 glass of wine in front of me and gestured to everyone present. My chosen partner has left. According to the game rules, I choose to drink the wine to complete the punishment. With that, I tilted my head back and calmly drained the glass. So Yunru hadn't expected me to rather drink than choose her. Her expression immediately turned cold. She glared at my rapidly reddening face, squeezing the dice in her hand until they creaked. With half the people gone, the game lost its fun. The gathering broke up like that. Drunk and hazy, I waited until everyone had left. I handed the club withdrawal application from my bag to the president. Leaning against the wall, I tried to go downstairs. Just as I reached the stairwell, I vaguely saw Chu Muxing not far away. I was about to pretend not to see him and walk away, but he grabbed my hand. His eyes were full of indignation. After the lights came on, what did that look you gave me mean? Let me tell you, even if Sister Yunru didn't kiss me, there's a reason for it. It represents her true feelings for me. True feelings? I almost burst out laughing. But I knew that no matter what I said at this moment, Chu Muxing wouldn't listen. So I nodded, "You're absolutely right." As I finished speaking, I tried to shake off his hand and leave. But Chu Muxing's grip only tightened. He kept cursing, refusing to let go. As we struggled, my steps were already unsteady. With a pull, I lost my balance and fell backward, rolling all the way down the tall staircase. Chu Muxing was startled, and losing his footing for a moment, he also tumbled down the stairs. Hearing the commotion from upstairs, the few classmates who hadn't gone far yet quickly turned back to check on the situation. Seeing that both of us were seriously injured, everyone immediately panicked. Finally, Su Yunro contacted someone and had both of us sent to her family's hospital. After a thorough examination, the doctor said it was a bone fracture. If not treated promptly, there was a risk of disability. From the moment she discovered we were injured, her gaze hadn't left me. Seeing my pale face and the sweat continuously rolling down my forehead, she seemed to empathize, her heart aching with pain. The operating room was ready, but only one specialist in the hospital could perform this surgery at the moment. Su Yunro had to decide the order. She subconsciously looked at me, meeting my gaze. In those eyes, the past affection and fervor were gone, leaving only a stagnant, dead calm. That look made Su Yunro's heart tremble fiercely. "Miss, please decide quickly. Who should go first for the surgery?" I lay pale on the stretcher, and just a second before losing consciousness, I heard Su Yunro clearly pronounce the name, Chu Muxing. "Save Chu Muxing first." Soon, the doctors pushed Chu Muxing into the operating room. The moment the door closed, I completely passed out. When I woke up again, it was already a day later. I opened my eyes. My first action was to reach down and touch my leg. After feeling that my leg was still there and that I had sensation, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Tears of relief after a narrow escape welled up in my eyes. Fortunately, I wasn't crippled. My parents received the news and quickly rushed over, moving me to a VIP room on the top floor. They carefully took care of me. 2 hours later, Chu Muxing moved into the room directly opposite mine. Su Yunru personally escorted him in, arm in arm. For convenience of examination, both ward doors were left open. I could clearly see what was happening in the opposite room. Chu Muxing was constantly fretting, so Su Yunru would find various topics to distract him. The patient meals from the logistics department didn't suit his taste, so she personally went home and made many light dishes for him. When he was bored staying in the ward, she would find all sorts of new and interesting gadgets to entertain him. During these 10-odd days in the hospital, the two were so intimate that even the nurses started gossiping, all discussing whether their director was about to have a daughter-in-law. I listened quietly without getting involved, but I knew clearly in my heart that Su Yunru was doing all of this just for me to see. After all, I had closed this ward door hundreds of times, and every time I closed it, a nurse would immediately come for rounds. 100% chance of the door opening. Couldn't be a coincidence, could it? On the day of discharge, I ran into the two of them again in the underground parking garage. As soon as she saw me, Su Yunro immediately helped Chu Muxing, who was in the wheelchair, up and into the car. Through the window, Chu Muxing stuck out half his head and smiled fakely at me. "Zhang Haoshen, I heard you live opposite Yunru's house. Let us give you a ride." I didn't want to bother with him, so I got into my car without even looking up. When the car arrived at the apartment building, I declined my parents' help and went home alone, leaning on my crutches. The elevator went from 1 to the first floor. Su Yunru, who was originally driving Chu Muxing home, suddenly walked in. We looked at each other, but neither of us spoke. The elevator stopped on the 17th floor. Su Yunru, by the door, lingered and didn't step out. I had no choice but to lean on my crutches and took a few extra steps to exit first. I walked slowly, but the person behind me walked even slower. I could feel her gaze constantly on me. When I reached my door and tried to enter the password, the crutch in my hand suddenly dropped to the ground. I could only lean against the wall and slowly squat down. Just as I touched the crutch, a shadow suddenly fell over me. Suyunru also squatted down, perhaps intending to help me pick it up. But the moment our eyes met, her hand retracted and she tied her loosened shoelace instead. I scoffed, ironically, picked up my crutch and slowly stood up, entering my room. After resting at home for a long time, final exams soon arrived. Although I was about to go abroad, my leg was barely able to bear weight, so I didn't apply for a deferred exam and went to take the test. The lecture hall had too many stairs, and since my leg hadn't fully recovered, I sat in the first row in the middle. A moment later, Su Yunro also walked in, supporting Chu Muxing. As soon as he saw me, Chu Muxing immediately feigned leg pain, demanding to sit in the first row. Su Yunro then helped him over to sit next to me, and she herself sat in the seat against the wall. The exam quickly began. Chu Muxing watched the teacher, and the moment the teacher stepped down the last stair, threw a pre-prepared paper ball onto my desk, separated by a corridor. My hand, holding the pen, paused. Before I could figure out what was happening, the teacher, who had just turned around, reprimanded me. Before the exam, I repeatedly emphasized that it's okay to do poorly, but one's character must be upright. No cheating. Yet you knowingly broke the rules, Jiang Haoshan. Your score is canceled. It was only then that I realized Chu Muxing's intention, but I wasn't going to take this silently. I immediately stood up to argue, saying I wanted to check the surveillance footage. Unfortunately, the teaching building had just experienced a power outage that morning, so the classroom surveillance wasn't turned on in time. Seeing Chu Muxing's smug expression, I really couldn't swallow this insult. Su Yunro was sitting next to Chu Muxing. She saw everything. The teacher also didn't want to wrongly accuse anyone, so he immediately called Su Yunro over. Qing University's academic building was funded by the Su family. Su Yunru didn't need to curry favor with anyone. She was also aloof and upright. Therefore, her words always carried great authority among the teachers and students. After hearing the whole story, Su Yunru glanced at me from the corner of her eye. Then she calmly stated, Chu Muxing was not the one cheating. As soon as she said this, it practically condemned me instantly. Teacher Zhao immediately believed her. He looked at me with a cold face. Jiang Haoshan, what more do you have to argue about? Not only do you deny cheating, but you also slander a classmate. You are simply incorrigible. Could your previous grades also have been copied? No matter what, this time I will report you for a school-wide public reprimand. I stood rooted to the spot, feeling as if I had fallen into an ice cave. I thought that when faced with a clear right or wrong, Su Yunru would uphold her principles, which is why I mentioned her name. But I never expected that she, after witnessing everything with her own eyes, would actually give false testimony for Chu Muxing. Now any further explanation would be pale and powerless. I looked deeply at Su Yunru and left without saying a word. Seeing my gaze, Su Yunru suddenly panicked. She instinctively chased after me and blocked my path. Jiang Haoshan, I know Chu Muxing was wrong about this, but he's sensitive, and I don't want people to talk about him. She didn't even say I'm sorry, only focusing on explaining for Chu Muxing. I even started to doubt if the photos I saw that day were just a dream. I looked at her with a hollow laugh, my voice trembling with anger. So this is your reason for helping him slander me? He can't stand gossip, but I can, is that it? Su Yunru, do you think that because I confessed to you 99 times, my skin is as thick as a city wall, and I'm already strong enough to fear no rumors? Seeing me like this, Su Yunru's left eyelid twitched. She directly grabbed my hand. That's not what I mean. It's just one exam. You can make up the credits. Later, I'll find a way to compensate you for the injustice you suffered today. Compensate me? You don't even like me. How do you plan to compensate me? My sarcastic tone made Su Yunro's heart skip a beat, and she almost blurted out what she was really thinking. Who said I don't? As soon as she spoke, she realized something was wrong. She quickly stopped herself. Trust me, I'll make it up to you on your 100th confession. Su Yunru, was she just short of explicitly stating that she would definitely accept me? The old her wouldn't have revealed so many flaws. Now, it was just her emotions getting the better of her. I was already completely disheartened. I pushed her hand away and with downcast eyes said, then tear the calendar properly and wait for the last day. Seeing me withdraw my hand, Su Yunru also composed herself. Her tone finally softened a bit. Okay, there are still 3 days. I will definitely give you a satisfactory answer. 3 days before my departure, the apartment that had been listed for over half a month successfully sold. The agent came to deliver the contract. I quickly signed it. I would move out in 3 days. These few days, I would pack up all the things in the house. Then the new residents could move in. After the agent noted the date, I escorted him to the elevator. As soon as the door opened, Suyunru emerged, carrying 2 bags. She stared at the agent for a while, then politely said, "Hello, sir." The agent responded, somewhat dazed. After the elevator descended, I turned to leave. Suyunru suddenly called out to me. She handed me one of the bags she was holding. "I happened to pass by and bought too much. I can't finish it all. Would you like to try some?" I glanced at it and saw that it was my favorite pastry. That shop was in the east of the city, a round trip of over 2 hours. And you had to queue for another hour to buy anything. She deliberately went to buy my favorite snack, and then found an excuse to give it to me. It was nothing more than an attempt to apologize for yesterday's events. But I no longer need his apology. I took it without saying anything. And then, upon arriving home, I casually tossed the bag containing the outfit, which arced through the air, and landed precisely in the trash can. 2 days before leaving, I went to a print shop. I spent a few thousand when printing 10,000 palm-sized cards. I returned to my dorm and entrusted my dorm mates to, on the 3rd, climb to the top of the main building and scatter these cards over the plaza. My dorm mates were also aware of what had happened recently. Hearing that I wasn't giving up, they all started to persuade me. "Haoshin, why don't you just let it go? Suyunru treated you like that. Why torment yourself further? Yeah, she really went too far. She really didn't deserve your affection." Although I had already come to terms with it, hearing my friends express such concern for me, a warmth still flowed through my heart. I shook my head. "Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. You just need to help me scatter them. I've already hired a cleaning company to clean up afterwards." I wasn't planning to confess my love either. What I truly want to do is say goodbye. Hearing this, the boys all froze, exchanging glances, unable to guess what I was up to. After saying thank you again, I turned and left. Watching my figure gradually disappear, my dorm mates opened the cardboard box. They took out a card. Only one sentence was written on it. "I will never love Suyunru again." The day before leaving, after completing all the procedures at school, I went home and started packing my luggage. I had only moved in half a year ago, so I didn't have many things, but most of them were related to Suyunru. I found a few boxes and threw all these items inside. The moment the boxes were tossed into the trash can, everything between Suyunru and me would become a thing of the past. Finally, only 2 sets of clothes remained in the house. The shirt she wore when we first met, and the black loose jeans. I lit a match and burned them. A wisp of smoke rose from the clothes, and soon only a pile of ashes remained on the floor. I stood up, and as I turned around, I saw Suyunru not far away, looking at me with a bewildered expression. "I'm just clearing out some unnecessary trash," I said calmly, then turned and went upstairs, leaving. That day, as soon as the sky brightened, I was woken up by the commotion from across the hall. I groggily opened my eyes and picked up my phone to check the time, only to see messages rapidly flashing in the notification bar. It took me a while to realize all the messages were from a group of over 20 people. A year ago, to understand Suyunru's preferences, I secretly joined it. I had forgotten to leave. Suyunru also didn't know I was in there. And the ones chatting excitedly so early in the morning were Suyunru's dorm mates. "Yunro, you're up so early. Didn't you sleep all night from excitement?" "Of course not. She's been busy since 11 p.m. last night." "Are you really going to accept Jang Haoshin's confession this time?" My hand paused here. I rarely saw Suyunru type such a long message below. "It's not accepting. He and I are already mutually in love. It's simply natural for us to be together." "Stop asking. Quick, help me see which outfit I should wear today. This one or this one?" Seeing the dozens of outfit photos she sent, the group instantly erupted. "Oh my goodness, such a big fuss. Is this still our aloof campus belle, Sue, who's usually so reserved?" "Campus belle, Sue, this is the first time I've seen you put so much effort into something. Do you really like Jang Haoshin that much?" Amidst all the exclamations, Suyunru only replied with one sentence. "I love him very much. I must be with him in this life." Seeing this line of text, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. I leaned against the headboard, watching the sky outside the window grow brighter, many past events flashing through my mind. Upon seeing this love, I only felt a sense of O. Henry-esque absurdity and humor. "You love me, so you rejected my confession 99 times, letting me become a laughingstock in the public eye. You loved me, so you ignored me, and deliberately acted intimately with other boys to provoke me. You loved me, so you twisted the facts to slander me, trampling on my genuine feelings in every way. If that's her love, I truly cannot bear it, nor am I blessed enough to receive it." The message refresh rate in the group chat grew faster and faster. A few girls living on campus sent some live photos. It was only a little past 7 a.m., but many people had already gathered in the plaza. There were students and teachers from both inside and outside the school. Some people even started selling bottled water nearby, peanuts and grilled sausages. So many people came. They all came to see my 100th confession. Yunro, hurry up and come over. Don't be late when the confession starts. You, the female lead, won't be able to squeeze in. Watching a spectacle is indeed human nature. I was about to leave, but then I saw the message Su Yunru had just sent me. I'm about to leave. How about you? I'm also about to leave, but it's to depart. I suddenly really wanted to see Su Yunro's expression after witnessing those cards falling on the sports field. What kind of expression would she have? And what would her feelings be after learning that I had left the country? What kind of feelings would she have? It's a pity I won't be able to see it. From now on, everything about Su Yunru would be irrelevant to me. I slowly got up and changed my clothes, then went to the bathroom to wash up. After everything was done, I took out the milk and bread from the microwave, eating while packing my last bits of luggage. After the luggage was packed, the entire house was empty. I turned around to look at the empty room, then took out my phone and blocked all numbers and accounts related to Su Yunru, accounts related to her. After doing all this, I felt a lightness I had never experienced before. Dragging my suitcase, I turned and left, heading towards my brilliant new life on the other side. With 5 minutes left until 9 o'clock, the square was packed with people, bustling and impassable. Even security guards had arrived to maintain order. Looking at the bustling crowd downstairs, my doormates were all wide-eyed with astonishment and excitement. They were also excited. So many people. Then what's about to happen will surely spread throughout the entire school, right? That's for the best. Lest even after Haoshin is gone, people still gossip about me behind my back. The few of them chattered away. Soon it was 8:59. The club president received news that I had safely arrived at the airport and immediately rolled up his sleeves, shouting, "Haoshin has arrived. Hurry up and get to work. Those dropping things and those taking photos, perk up. Make sure he sees this before he boards the plane." At that very moment, as soon as the words fell, the 9 o'clock alarm rang. Two boys, one on the left and one on the right, took their positions. They pushed out the stacks of cards that had been placed on the windowsill, pushing them out. In an instant, white cards fluttered like snowflakes from the 16th floor rooftop, twirling downwards. In the square, an unknown nearsighted student cried out, "It's snowing!" Everyone else looked up. As the cards were about to land, the people below eagerly stood on their tiptoes to snatch them, wanting to see what was written on them. And in the very center of the square, Su Yunru also craned her neck, looking up. Her sisters, seeing this grand scene, all exclaimed in wonder and awe, "There must be 10,000 of them, right? Zhang Haoshin really put his heart and soul into this. Don't you see Yunro's popularity? If he didn't make such a grand display, how could he declare his sovereignty and intimidate his rivals?" True, but what exactly is written on these papers? His previous love letters had pretty good writing. Could these be 10,000 handwritten love letters? Don't even mention it. With his patience and perseverance, it's really possible. Let me grab one and admire it. Listening to her sister's envious voices, Su Yunru's heart was also filled with anticipation. She raised her hand and caught a card, and with a smile, she flipped it over. When she saw the words on it, the expression on her face instantly froze. Her sisters nearby all leaned in, wanting to say something to her. But after glancing at the words on the paper, they all widened. Their eyes and their words became hesitant. But that's impossible, right? It must be a mistake, a mistake. While comforting her, they picked up fallen cards from the ground and showed them to Su Yunru. But the few new ones they picked up were still identical printouts. Zhang Haoshin will never like Su Yunru again. At this, everyone was completely flustered. They quickly snatched a few more from the hands of nearby spectators. But after seeing the content, the shock in their hearts only deepened. How is that possible? Isn't this a confession? What the heck is this written here? Is someone deliberately causing trouble? The few of them were still making excuses, while the crowd watching nearby had already each received a copy, and they started shouting loudly, "Zhang Haoshin will never like Su Yunru again." So this isn't a confession after all? Damn, he tricked everyone into coming here. Just to clarify this matter, he put so much effort into promoting this. Now the whole school knows. This is great. No more Zhang Haoshin. No one will bother us or make fun of us anymore. Su Yunru's face, amidst this wave of increasingly harsh remarks, gradually lost all color. She only felt as if something was lodged in her heart. Her breath wouldn't come. Her brain was deprived of oxygen, leaving only a blank void. Her hands tightly clutched a stack of papers, her knuckles turning slightly white from the excessive force. Her chest heaved violently. She looked up at the rooftop where papers were still scattering, her eyes filled with shock and panic. Thousands of people in the plaza all stood on tiptoe, wanting to see his reaction. And he, living up to everyone's expectations, threw away the things in his hands and strode towards the main building. The onlookers quickly followed him. After throwing down the last stack of papers, they prepared to call it a day. But as soon as they reached the door, they heard a rumbling sound from below. The elevator was also slow to arrive, so they decided to walk down the stairs. As they reached the 15th floor, they ran into Tsundere. She was running up with a few of her friends. As soon as she saw them, she blocked the hallway. A few seconds later, the massive crowd of onlookers also came up behind them. Facing the aggressive girls, they showed no fear. "Oh, isn't this our Tsinghua campus belle? Didn't you say you looked down on Haoshan? Why are you also joining this boring spectacle?" Hearing these sarcastic remarks, Tsundere hands clenched into fists. Her face instantly turned cold. "You scattered these things on your own initiative." Hearing the words "on your own initiative," the three boys couldn't help but laugh. How could we dare? Haoshan spent a lot of money to print these himself and painstakingly brought them to school. At most, we're just final delivery movers. Hearing that this was truly his doing, the students below started whispering. Doesn't Tsundere dislike Zhang Haoshan? Why, now that he's given up, is she still a bit unwilling? What do you know? In our world of novels, after the high and mighty flower is pulled from her pedestal, she ends up chasing him when it's too late. If you ask me if she regrets it now, she totally deserves to be publicly humiliated like this. What was she doing for the first 9 times? These speculative words fell into Tsundere's heart like countless sharp blades, piercing through her long-held confidence. For the past 2 years, she had thought she had him completely figured out and could easily manipulate his thoughts and actions. And indeed, things had gone as she expected. The first 99 confessions had all ended smoothly. She thought everything would end with the 100th time, that between him and her, they could also draw a perfect conclusion. But at the moment she felt most confident, in a way that announced it to the world, he dealt her a fatal blow. She could no longer pretend as before, to be aloof and indifferent, or calm and composed. Instead, she completely exposed her true nature. She grabbed the stair railing, her voice urgent and panicked. "Where is he?" The club president looked at her face, a gloating smile appearing on his face. He raised his hand and made a flapping wing gesture. "The confession is over." So of course he flew away. Tsundere subconsciously felt he was lying to her. But upon hearing the last 2 words, her heart skipped a few beats. Flew away? What does that mean? A bad premonition suddenly rose within her. She pushed aside the boys blocking her way and rushed towards the rooftop. The rooftop was empty, devoid of any figures. The stairwell and elevator were both packed with people. He couldn't possibly have gone down. Did he not come to school today? After realizing this, Tsundere's memories rapidly rewinded in her mind. She arrived at school at 8:30, left home at 8 o'clock, chose her clothes at 7:30. From this moment, recalling back to the last time she saw him downstairs last night, she finally discovered the problem. He had planned all of this, so logically, he should have left early to prepare. But since last night, there had been no sound from the apartment across the hall. Either he left after her, or he never intended to come to school himself. He spent so much effort wanting to get revenge on her, yet he didn't come to witness it himself. Why on earth? Tsundere couldn't understand. She clutched her rapidly beating chest, suddenly feeling that something within her body was rapidly draining away. She was terrified and helpless to stop it. The security guards finally emerged and dispersed the crowd blocking the main building. Tsundere was surrounded by her sisters as she went downstairs. At a glance, she saw 7 or 8 sanitation workers who were sweeping up the papers on the ground. She blankly bent down and picked up a card that had been stepped on and was covered in footprints. Seeing the words on it, her state of mind changed completely. Her previous anger and shock had turned into boundless panic and fear, a sense that things had slipped out of her control, racing towards an unpredictable direction. The panic and the fear that what awaited her was an unknown, even heavier blow. Her sisters saw this expression on her face for the first time. They racked their brains trying to console her. "It's okay, Yunro. Zhang Haoshan doing all this. Must be still angry about being publicly called out last time. Go back and explain it to him properly and tell him everything that's in your heart. He likes you so much, he'll definitely forgive you." Right. He's been chasing you for 2 years. 99 confessions. Just coax him a little and it'll be fine. Although everyone was trying to reassure her, her sixth sense told Tsundere that this time was different from before. She couldn't suppress the feeling of panic and didn't want to hear them chattering endlessly in her ears. Annoyed and restless, she drove straight back to her apartment. She wanted to find him and ask for a clear explanation. At 10:30, after parking her car, she had just reached the community entrance when she saw sanitation workers cleaning the trash cans. She inexplicably connected this to seeing him squatting on the ground yesterday, burning something. She had felt he was a bit off then, but hadn't asked why. Now, wanting to see what exactly he had burned, the sanitation workers had already placed new trash cans and driven away. Soo-Yunru could only take the cart upstairs. As soon as the elevator door opened, she was blocked by several large luggage boxes at the entrance. Inside, a young man nearby saw that she couldn't get out and quickly apologized, coming forward to move the luggage. She guessed this was probably a new neighbor who had just moved into the apartment next door. Remembering his leg injury hadn't healed yet, she planned to use the excuse of reminding him to be careful when going out, to go and talk to him. However, just as she reached her own doorway, she found the opposite door ajar. She raised her hand and knocked. It was very quiet inside. No sound of anyone. This unusual silence made Soo-Yunro unconsciously frown. Just as she was about to push it open and look, a male voice suddenly came from behind her. "Are you the neighbor living opposite?" "Hello, I'm the new resident of 1705. Please take care of me." Hearing the number 1705, Soo-Yunro subconsciously glanced at the plaque on the door. The next second, her whole body froze like a statue. The young man, who had just pushed his luggage cart over, was still enthusiastically introducing himself. Soo-Yunro didn't hear a single word. She suddenly turned around, her eyes fixed on him, her finger pointing at the 805 door number on the left. 805? New resident? Then what about the original resident? The young man wiped the sweat from his face, his eyes full of joy. "The agent said he moved out this morning. Do you know him? Could you share his contact information with me? He seemed to be in a hurry to leave. This apartment was listed at a very low price. I practically stole it. I still want to thank him." These few short sentences completely short-circuited Soo-Yunro's mind. She struggled for a long time, then suddenly reacted. She turned sideways and pushed open the ajar door. The room was empty, apart from the usual furniture. There wasn't a single personal item. It was as clean as a new house. The young man didn't notice her gradually. Pale face. He still grinned, saying, "Clean, right?" The agent said that young man cleaned up for 3 days because it was inconvenient to move things. He even threw away a lot of stuff. Soo-Yunro didn't know how she got home. When she finally came to, she found herself slumped in the entryway, her legs numb from crouching. She was completely soaked, as if she had just been pulled out of water. Her whole body was drenched. Her sweat-soaked clothes clung to her, icy cold, making her shiver uncontrollably. She took out her phone, found his WeChat, and typed a few words with trembling hands. "Why did you move out?" As soon as she pressed send, a small red dot appeared on the screen, and 2 lines of "not a friend" notifications. This red fell into his eyes. Stinging him, his gaze froze for a few seconds. Then, refusing to believe it, he sent out a few more messages, and several notifications popped up one after another. Looking at the phone screen, he seemed to be choked. His throat was almost unable to breathe. He tightly gripped his own neck. His face quickly turned completely red. Just as he was about to suffocate, the phone rang. Only then did he let go and answer it. And Pankwe, a panicked gasp came from his roommate. "Yunro, no, something bad happened. Zhang Haoshan, he went to Italy. Just now, Huzi and I were here at Bugao Lan. We saw his name on the exchange student list." These words were like a thunderbolt, stirring up monstrous waves in Soo-Yunro's heart. She tried to lean on the cabinet to stand up, but her already numbed legs wouldn't obey. She collapsed directly onto the floor, her forehead hitting the corner of the wall, creating a bleeding wound. Blood gushed out. The phone, which had fallen aside, buzzed with noise. "What happened to you?" "We'll be right there." But Soo-Yunro was already too preoccupied to understand what they were saying. She raised her hand to cover the wound, feeling as if ants were gnawing at her brain, like a feast. The pain from her nerves was unbearable. She curled into a ball, emitting a painful and low groan from her throat. Everything went dark before her eyes. Before she completely lost consciousness, her last thought was a sentence she had seen countless times today, already etched into her heart. "I, Zhang Haoshan, will never like Soo-Yunro again." Soo-Yunro was severely injured. Although she miraculously survived, she was admitted to the intensive care unit. When she woke up, she realized it was 3 days later. A few of her sisters leaned by her hospital bed, letting out a sigh of relief. Then they chattered on and on, telling her what had happened during the days she was unconscious. According to the information they gathered, Zhang Haoshan had already arrived in Italy 3 days ago. However, he hadn't completed the enrollment procedures there yet. They heard that after the list was announced, someone reported him to the school, claiming he cheated on a test recently and that his exchange student spot should be revoked. If the spot is revoked, he'll likely have to come back. Yunru, don't worry. He won't get away. So Yunru's heart suddenly pounded, her eyes widening blankly. He went to Italy, cheating on a test, spot revoked, coming back. She hadn't yet recovered from this massive amount of information when a knock came from outside the door. One of her roommates ran to open the door, and the other three looked over, clearly seeing the renowned Professor Chen looking stern walk in. Professor Chen walked in with a grim face. He glanced at the person on the hospital bed, his imposing presence making people dare not look him directly in the eye. Are you Su Yunru? I heard you testified in the plagiarism case between Haoshan and Chu Muxing. You were the one who testified? I'd like to talk to you. Hearing this, the roommates dared not linger and quickly left the ward. Watching the door slowly close, Su Yunru slightly lifted her chin. Yes, it was me. She received an affirmative answer. Professor Chen's face instantly flared with anger, his voice deliberately growing harsher. Haoshan told me you gave false testimony. Such a big matter. How dare you fabricate it? Do you know what kind of impact this will have on his future? Because of this plagiarism accusation, he will lose his exchange student spot. The college is even discussing expelling him to suppress public opinion. Once the document is issued, plus the public outcry he faced because of you on the internet last time, the public outcry he caused online, his entire life will be ruined by you. He liked you, but honestly, in these past 2 years, has he ever done anything to wrong you? Do you hate him so much that you must force him to a dead end? If you still have any conscience left, then quickly go to the school and clarify the truth. Otherwise, not only him, but I and the entire design department will be ruined by your lie. Hearing these words, Su Yunru felt a buzzing in her head, and her heart instantly panicked. She had only been angry that he chose a club gathering over her and was trying to force him to reconcile, which was why she lied to Teacher Zhao. She never imagined it would cause such a massive chain reaction. She dared not even imagine. If everything developed in the direction Professor Chen predicted, what would it eventually escalate to? If she really ruined his future, then with his personality, he would probably hate her for the rest of his life. Lovers turning into enemies. This was something Su Yunru would rather die than accept. She no longer cared about the wound on her forehead, struggling to get up, and wanted to go to school with Professor Chen to clarify the truth. As soon as the two of them stepped out, they were stopped by medical staff. Several doctors dared not let her leave, all trying to persuade her. But she wouldn't listen to a single word, insisting on returning to school. Professor Chen had already contacted the head of the disciplinary department in advance. Su Yunru, in front of the dean of the School of Design and Teacher Zhao, identified Chu Muxing as the one who plagiarized. Chu Muxing didn't expect her to suddenly turn against him and instantly panicked. He hurriedly said it wasn't him. Teacher Zhao also didn't expect her to overturn her previous statement, and for a moment didn't know whether to believe it or not. Su Yunru, with a cold face, glanced at Chu Muxing, who was still trying to deny it, opened her phone and took out a photo. This is a letter Chu Muxing personally wrote to me before. My family will send over the original document later. You can compare the handwriting on the letter and on the note. Hearing these words, Chu Muxing's face instantly twisted into a knot, becoming incredibly distorted. He stumbled back a few steps and was seen by several leaders, whose stern gazes made him tremble nonstop. Yunru, it's me, Mu Sheng. Have you forgotten that we grew up together? This matter is already over. Why are you lying? Su Yunru looked at him with the evidence irrefutable, yet he was still trying to deny it. A hint of disgust flashed in her eyes. I never liked you. Before, I was just acting. Now I don't want to act anymore, so of course I won't protect you anymore. Since you did it, you must take full responsibility for your actions. As soon as her words fell, the Su family members brought the original document. After a careful comparison, the handwriting on the note was indeed Chu Muxing's. The disciplinary department immediately convened a meeting, deciding to clarify the facts in a school-wide announcement. Due to the severe negative impact, Chu Muxing was expelled from school, and the incident was recorded in his academic file. By the time everything was resolved, it was already dark. Su Yunru leaned against the wall as she walked out and called out to Professor Chen. Professor Chen, did he know about all this in the country? Although the matter was perfectly resolved, Professor Chen's anger had not subsided, and he still found her an eyesore. He's about to be expelled. How could he not know? Did you hit your head or something? After being scolded like that, Su Yunru felt even worse, but she still wanted to explain a few words. Now that the matter is resolved, will he still come back? Professor Chen glared at her, his tone full of pride. There's only one such spot in the entire School of Design. Haoshan earned it with his own ability. After 3 years of advanced study in Italy, he'll have a boundless future upon his return. Why would he come back? Besides, Tsinghua has people like you. So if he doesn't come back, he'll suffer less. If I had known he was so infatuated with someone like you, I should have told him to be careful when choosing a partner and to keep his eyes wide open. Meanwhile, when I received Professor Chen's call assuring me of safety, I was sunbathing on the beach. I didn't know how the professor managed to make Su Yunro tell the truth, nor did I want to inquire. I sincerely expressed my gratitude to the professor. Professor Chen gave me a few more instructions, then rushed off to a meeting. I sipped the juice beside me, enjoying the sea breeze, and leisurely leaned back on the beach chair. 3 days ago, I arrived in Italy. I originally planned to complete the enrollment procedures directly, but the school called back to China to verify the situation and suddenly informed me that there was an issue with my spot, and it couldn't be processed for the time being. I asked my dorm mates and found out someone had secretly reported me, so I contacted Professor Chen to explain the situation, asking him to think of a solution. Although Professor Chen was Tsinghua's golden reputation, I knew this matter would be difficult to clarify, and I was prepared to weather the storm. I have to say, ever since I met Su Yunro, my stress resistance had clearly gone up a notch. Now facing the severe consequence of potentially being expelled, I could take it in stride and didn't dwell on it anymore. I even had the leisure to buy a plane ticket overnight to take a short vacation by the Aegean Sea. Now that everything was resolved, I completely relaxed, pondering when to return. Finish the remaining procedures. I was flipping through my flight tickets. Suddenly, a message popped up in the dorm group chat. Haoshin, Su Yunru just came to the dorms looking for us. She said she wanted your contact information. She said she wanted to apologize, but we wouldn't fall for her trick. Don't worry, we didn't reveal a single digit. You don't know how haggard she looks now. She even has gauze wrapped around her head. I heard she was in the ICU just a couple of days ago. Serves her right. She deserved it. Seeing these vivid complaints, Su Yunru instantly appeared in my mind. The scene of her asking for my new number and being rejected. A smile played on my lips. Humming a tune, I sent a big red packet to the group chat. Thank you all for your help these past few days. Everything has been resolved smoothly. Once the 3-year period is up, I'll treat you all to a meal when I return to the country to express my gratitude in person. My roommates knew I was always generous, so they didn't stand on ceremony. They all claimed the red packet. I was also very happy to meet such great roommates and teachers. After booking the soonest flight back to Milan, I stretched and stood up, walking on the soft sand toward the hotel. Behind me, waves crashed onto the shore one after another. Seagulls perched on the parasols. The warm sunlight cascaded down, making everyone feel cozy. It truly was a rare good day. This time, the process of completing the procedures went very smoothly. There were no issues whatsoever. I looked at the stamped documents in my hand and the newly acquired student ID card. A satisfied expression appeared on my face. The staff member then asked me if I would be staying in the dorms or finding an apartment myself, as I couldn't quite accept the complicated situation of international student dorms, so before coming, I had my family purchase a small apartment near the school. I immediately grabbed my luggage and headed over. Upon reaching my destination, I looked at the stairs in front of me and tried lifting my heavy suitcase again. I let out a long sigh. I was wondering if I should pay someone to help, when a beautiful female voice suddenly came from beside me. I looked in the direction of the voice and saw a young, stunning blonde woman with blue eyes, who was asking in English if I needed help. I quickly nodded. The beautiful woman then helped me carry my luggage up the stairs. As we walked, she chatted with me. By the time we reached the apartment door, we had both finished introducing ourselves. I bowed to express my gratitude to her, but she showed me her reddened palms and playfully joked, "I helped you, so a simple thank you isn't enough, is it? If it's convenient, could you give me your business card?" Hearing this request, I paused for a moment, but quickly reacted and started rummaging through my bag. However, after searching, I couldn't find my business card. I could only apologize profusely, but the beautiful woman said it was fine. She pulled out a pen from nowhere and extended her hand to me, palm up. "Please write your phone number." On my hand, I hesitated for a few seconds but still took the pen and wrote a long string of numbers on her slender, jade-like hand. After moving into the new apartment, I was busy for several days and finally got the place set up. That evening, I received a message that all international exchange students in this batch had completed their registration and a welcome assembly would be held in the auditorium today. I noted the time and left early the next day. These past few days, although I would wander around the school whenever I had free time, because the school was too large and the architectural styles were largely similar, I still got lost. Seeing that it was almost time, I was about to ask someone for directions when my phone suddenly rang. It was an unknown number. After a few seconds of thought, I answered it. A very familiar voice came through the phone, but I couldn't remember who it was. While I was still wondering, someone suddenly patted my shoulder from behind. I turned my head and saw Alice, the beautiful woman who had helped me a few days ago, smiling and greeting me. Her phone was still held to her ear. Only then did I realize it was her number. A surprised expression appeared on my face. We high-fived. Alice asked what I was spacing out about. I truthfully told her about the predicament I was in. Hearing auditorium, she immediately said that she was going there too and could lead the way for me. I didn't doubt her. The two of us navigated through the labyrinthine campus, chatting and laughing then all the way. After about 10 minutes of winding around, everyone pointed at the building in front of me and told me we had arrived. I took out my phone and looked. It was indeed identical to the building diagram sent by my alumnus. I quickly waved to them to express my thanks. This welcome ceremony lasted 2 hours. My back was aching by the time I came out of the auditorium. I was just wondering where to get lunch. Suddenly, someone popped up in front of me. He smiled and greeted me, asking about my lunch plans. I was just troubled by this. He noticed my distress. He smiled and introduced me to a restaurant, inviting me to go with him. I agreed and followed him out of the school. When we reached the restaurant entrance, I realized it was a Chinese restaurant. A hint of doubt flashed in my eyes. You want to take me for Chinese food? Are you used to eating it? I heard you're not very used to the local cuisine. I hope to have a pleasant dining experience today. I also want to try Chinese food. That's why I chose this restaurant. I didn't expect him to be so thoughtful, and I didn't want to decline his kind offer. I smiled and replied, then this one it is. I'm also half a host. Let me take care of this meal. I hope to give you a good first experience with Chinese food. We chatted as we entered the restaurant and found a seat. I held the menu, seeing that Alice was very interested in these dishes. I introduced each dish to her one by one, then ordered 5 dishes. Because of her lively yet polite personality, the meal was indeed very pleasant. We chatted about the cultural differences between East and West, and also talked about many interesting things that had recently happened at school. We quickly became familiar with each other. After lunch, Alice accompanied me back to my apartment. As we parted, she showed a reluctant expression and very politely extended an invitation this weekend. May I have the honor of inviting you for afternoon tea? The weekend brought rare good weather. I gladly accepted the invitation and chatted leisurely with Alice at the garden cafe. A flock of white doves flew by the lake. A feather gracefully landed on her hair. Alice saw it and smiled, getting up to remove it for me. We were too close to each other. From a distance, we looked very intimate. I lifted my eyes, full of smiles and thanks had just left my lips. When I glimpsed to my left, my gaze instantly froze. That woman standing at the entrance, with gauze wrapped around her forehead, her face haggard and worn. Why did she look so much like Su Yunru? Before I could take a closer look, the woman had already walked over aggressively. She lowered her bloodshot eyes, looking down from above at the table of delicious pastries. Her gaze darted between the two of us, angrily demanding, "Who is she?" Hearing that familiar voice, I finally confirmed that she was Su Yunru, although I didn't know why she knew I was here. I wasn't surprised by her appearance. I knew she would eventually come after me in Italy. After all, in Su Yunru's eyes, I was her easy prey. She would absolutely not let me escape from under her nose. I had already prepared myself for this reunion. Therefore, facing her hostile attitude, I remained exceptionally calm. A new friend. Is there something you need? Friend? What friend? A girlfriend, is that it? The last few words Su Yunru uttered through gritted teeth. She never expected that despite her serious injuries. Flying all this way, wanting to properly explain and confess everything to me, she would instead stumble upon me on a date with another woman. He's only been abroad for a few days and already has a new love? Didn't he like her for 2 years? And didn't give up even after 99 rejections? Didn't we agree that on the 100th time we'd be together? Why is he going back on his word and being untrustworthy? Realizing this, the anger in Su Yunru's chest burned even fiercer, her voice filled with anguish. You forgot? I didn't give her a chance to bring up the past. I directly interrupted her. Chasing after you was indeed nothing to be proud of. So what if I forgot? Shouldn't I forget? Besides this face of yours, you don't have any outstanding qualities. I'm no longer interested. Do I need your permission to want a change of pace? These few words immediately silenced Su Yunru. She looked at him in disbelief, her eyes filled with suspicion. Haoshin, what exactly have you been through these past few days? Clearly, we agreed. I've been doing very well these past few days. Eating well, drinking well, sleeping well. Thanks to you, I even had time to travel. It's your sudden appearance that has made me a bit unhappy. If you can understand what I mean, please leave this cafe immediately. Honestly, you've disturbed my meal with this beautiful woman. As I said this, my tone was light and airy, my face full of nonchalance. This indifferent and aloof attitude made Su Yunro's already poor complexion turn even paler. Only then did she realize that everything had truly slipped out of her control. Her emotions grew even more agitated. She grabbed my hand and began to explain incoherently. I was wrong before. I shouldn't have used your sincerity. I'm sorry, Haoshin. Please forgive me. Just give me one more chance, okay? In my eyes, her apology lacked any sincerity. I was publicly rejected 9 times, you know. Does she think a simple "I'm sorry" can erase all that? That's wishful thinking. A pipe dream. Looking at her slightly trembling hand, I furrowed my brow, a hint of sarcasm in my voice. I can't afford the school bell's apology. Don't worry, we'll be strangers from now on. You also don't need to worry about me pestering you anymore. Seeing the determination in my eyes, Su Yunru knew I wasn't joking. She was extremely flustered. Her hand unconsciously tightened its grip, making me frown. Alice, who didn't understand their conversation, initially thought we were friends catching up. Seeing that the situation was not right, she quickly stood up, wanting to help me break free. This action, to Su Yunro, who was suddenly aware of the situation, was a provocation. She pushed Alice's hand away without thinking. Alice was pushed back a few steps. Su Yunro gave her a cold look and tried to drag me away. She steadied herself against the wall. Seeing my resistant expression, she immediately rushed forward again and slapped Su Yunro across the face. The two instantly broke into a fight. The once peaceful and quiet garden became chaotic in an instant. Tables and chairs were overturned, leaving a mess everywhere. Even the nearby potted plants were knocked over. Many customers, fearing being caught in the crossfire, rushed out the door. The owner on the second floor immediately called the police. Located in the city center, the police arrived quickly. They separated the two red-eyed fighters and took them back to the police station. The gauze on Su Yunro's head had been torn off, revealing a hideous wound. The sight made the police officers' hearts pound. They subconsciously assumed Alice was bullying a patient. Alice vehemently defended herself. Su Yunro, also injured, was not to be outdone. She insisted Alice had started it. The two argued for a long time, almost rupturing the police officers' eardrums. But they still couldn't figure out who was right and who was wrong. Left with no choice, they could only turn to a third party, the only eyewitness present, this gentleman. Could you please describe the scene of the incident? Upon hearing this question, the two women slowly turned around and fixed their eager gazes on me. Ever since the two started fighting, I had retreated to the side to avoid being accidentally injured. I hadn't even said a word to break them up. Watching the two vent their anger on each other, I couldn't stay out of it now. I didn't hesitate. I raised my hand and pointed at Su Yunro, without even blinking. She was the one who pushed first. Hearing this, Su Yunro froze on the spot. She couldn't believe I would point her out. She stared at me, her voice trembling. I just pushed her once. She was clearly the one who hit first. Haoshin, why? Her words abruptly stopped. A flicker of realization crossed Su Yunro's mind. In an instant, she understood why I said that. I was retaliating against her. I wanted her to taste what it felt like to be wronged and framed. Realizing this, she couldn't speak another word. She just felt a blockage in her chest, unable to breathe. The police officer, not understanding, the Chinese wanted me to translate. I immediately clarified our relationship. I was dining with Alice. Su Yunru directly barged in and caused trouble. She disregarded my wishes and tried to forcibly take me away. Then she pushed someone. That's why they started fighting. Su Yunru's last shred of hope was completely extinguished. She opened her mouth, her voice hoarse and weak. You'll never stand by me again, will you? I glanced at her with disdain and gave a cold laugh. I'm an honest person. I only stand with the truth. Su Yunru still wouldn't give up. She pressed on with another question. What if she had pushed me first today? Would you honestly tell the truth then? Does that even need asking? You and I aren't related. Are we even close? Alice is young and thin-skinned. Of course, I have to look out for my friend. After dropping that statement, I couldn't be bothered with her expression. I turned and left. With the testimony, plus the surveillance footage quickly brought in, the truth quickly came to light. Su Yunro was detained for causing trouble as a foreign national. After Alice was released, I apologized to her and apologized again. She waved her hand, not taking the small injuries she sustained to heart. Instead, she said our date today was interrupted and asked me out again for next week. I thought about it carefully. Although Alice was indeed very pretty, but from what happened today, she seemed not rational or mature enough. I knew Su Yunru wouldn't just let it go, and I didn't want to involve her. Nor did I want to end up in jail a few more times. I could guess she had other intentions towards me. But the current me would no longer act impulsively. So, in the end, I politely declined. Su Yunru pulled many strings for a long time, before finally getting someone to bail her out. She wandered aimlessly through the streets alone, unsure where to go. Every time she thought of what had happened recently, she felt as if her entire heart was being tested by fire, suffering immensely. Overwhelming regret surged into her heart like a tide, drowning her completely. She desperately wished to return to the scene of my 99th confession, to agree to be with me right then and there, and express her feelings. Then this series of troubles wouldn't have happened later, and I wouldn't have given up on her. We could have ended up together, but the cold wind and rain that struck late at night shattered her illusions. She watched the continuous drizzle, finally realizing everything had reached a point of no return. Even so, she still didn't want to give up. She had secretly loved me for 2 years, waited for 2 years, and absolutely wouldn't allow her expectations to fall through. She vowed to do everything possible to win me back, just like I pursued her. To exchange 100 expressions of sincerity for one forgiveness from me. Just once, one time is enough. For the next half month or so, I didn't see Tsundere. Life returned to normal. But Alice later asked me out twice more. After I refused, our relationship fizzled out. I didn't feel sad about this fleeting affection. My days were fulfilling with normal social activities and studies. In a foreign land, I also knew some cooking techniques and thus quickly integrated into the international student community. Just as I was about to forget about Tsundere, she suddenly appeared again, bringing several carts full of roses and balloons, and blocked me at school. Seeing the curious glances from all directions, I felt somewhat speechless and choked up. Tsundere ignored my expression. Seizing the opportunity, she poured out all the words she had kept in her heart. "Haushin, if I also pursue you 100 times, would you be willing to give me another chance?" If it were me a few months ago hearing these words, I'd probably be moved to tears. But the current me was not only unmoved, but also got goosebumps all over. What a dramatic plot. What cringeworthy lines. Was I possessed back then? To actually make such public confession gestures so many times. Recalling the past again, I felt no wistfulness, only an inability to look away from the cringe. If I were given a chance to travel through time, I would definitely do my best to stop my past self who fell in love with Tsundere at first sight and expose her true colors directly. I wouldn't have been foolish for so long, 2 years. Over 700 days wasted on someone undeserving. What a pity. I was still regretting and didn't even hear what the person in front of me said. After waiting for a long time without a reply, Tsundere's heart grew increasingly anxious. She became flustered and uneasy, looking around, wanting to see if she had done anything wrong. But after checking, she couldn't find any flaws. She could only look at me nervously. But as soon as she lowered her eyes, I immediately avoided her gaze and turned around, waving to someone in the distance. With a surprised tone, "Yang Lily, Song Jingni, and where are you two going?" She followed my gaze, only then realizing I was greeting someone else. This dismissive attitude of mine made Tsundere's heart sink into an ice cellar. Her face instantly became extremely awkward. She desperately squeezed out a few words from between her teeth, wanting to regain my attention. "Haushin?" Before she could finish her sentence, the girl named Yang Lily walked over, her tone sounding particularly familiar. "We're planning to go camping. Haushin, want to come along?" The weather was clear. I had no other plans for the weekend, and there was still a big problem right in front of me. I had no reason to refuse, so I readily agreed. Song Jingnian expected I would agree. He casually reached for the bag in my hand. I didn't decline either. I directly handed the bag to him, and smiling asked him about his plans for the evening. Neither of them gave Tsundere any glance. They self-confidently joined the camping group. Watching the group's figures slowly receding, Tsundere's face gradually turned extremely pale. She clenched her fists, looking at Yang Lily, her eyes filled with unwillingness and intense jealousy. Tsundere followed us to the outskirts. Across a river, she could clearly see everything happening on the other side. 7 or 8 international students were gathered together, barbecuing and chatting, playing party games. It looked exceptionally lively. She couldn't blend in. She could only watch from afar. But the more she watched, the more her heart felt stifled. No matter what I did, the girl named Yang Lily stayed by my side. The distance between the two of us never exceeded 10 steps, and we were getting closer. This was a level of intimacy different from others, making Tsundere's eyes burn with envy and her heart ache. She wished she could just go over and take me away. But she knew clearly, if she really did that, it would definitely make me angry. She didn't want our relationship to continue to stiffen and worsen, so she couldn't do anything to add fuel to the fire. She could only swallow those complex emotions that were burning her heart and lungs, and tell herself to endure. This endurance lasted for 6 hours. The sky slowly darkened. On the other side, a bonfire burned, and a party was in full swing, extremely lively. Perhaps it was too noisy. I, not quite used to it, went to the riverside alone to get some fresh air. Tsundere seized the opportunity and walked up to me and called out to me, saying, "Haoshin, I have something I want to tell you." I was in a good mood today, but I still found her displeasing to the eye. My tone wasn't very good. "Sorry, I don't really want to listen." As I said this, I was about to leave. Tsundere immediately panicked. She directly grabbed my hand, her eyes full of earnestness. "Just give me a few minutes. Haoshin, there are some things I've wanted to say for a long time." Hearing this, I finally looked up at her. But my expression was subtle. "What words from a long time ago? Don't tell me it's some nonsense about falling for me at first sight." 2 years ago, in the end, my voice still carried a mocking tone. Tsundere, however, looked as if she had been struck by lightning. It completely stunned her. She never expected to hear from my mouth the secret she thought she had hidden so well. I didn't care what her mood was. The sarcastic smile on my face grew more pronounced. "Tsundere, weigh your words carefully. Don't even mention me. If those words were spoken, any other person, even you yourself, would you dare to believe them? Whose secret crush can be hidden perfectly for 2 whole years? Who would, to satisfy their own pride, reject their crush's 99 confessions? And who could, in the face of all dangers and suffering, consistently push the person they supposedly love to the opposing side? Is this love? I'm afraid it's closer to extreme hatred, isn't it?" Listening to my mockery, Tsundere only felt a roaring in her ears. Her mind was a blank. She desperately wanted to deny all of it. But in the end, she couldn't utter a single word of defense. She could only utter weak and pale words. "No, Haoshin, I really do like you. Everyone around me knows it. They can all testify for me. Since I'm unaware, then who you like has nothing to do with me. Anyway, from my perspective, the person you liked all along was Chu Muxing. You should go confess your deep affection to him and declare your loyalty. You two are so well matched. It's been quite disgusting to me from beginning to end." The undisguised look of disgust on my face became the final straw that broke Tsundere. Her body trembled uncontrollably, yet she still refused to let go, stubbornly wanting to keep me there. I had no patience to continue entanglement with her. I directly pulled my hand free and turned to leave. The moment our hands separated, she felt as if she was about to lose everything. A dull ache pierced her heart. All strength instantly drained from her body. She swayed as if about to fall. I skillfully ignored her, walking with light steps back into the crowd, never once looking back. I thought that once everything was laid bare, Tsundere would give up, but I soon realized this person's mind wouldn't listen to reason. Nothing I said was effective. For the next few months, whenever I went out, I would always see her within 20 meters. Every few days, she would bring some things she had tinkered with and come up to me. She would declare her love once, then twice. By the third time, I could barely keep track of how many times. Facing her headstrong and obsessive actions, I remained indifferent, showing no reaction. If I could pretend not to see her, I would. If that didn't work, I'd call security and have her removed on the grounds of disturbing the peace. With all this going on, the entire school knew about Tsundere and her persistent harassment. So no matter where she went, people would point and whisper, but she didn't care. She only focused on following my shadow. She thought that if she persevered, she would eventually move me. But reality far exceeded her imagination. Not only did I not show any signs of being moved, but also, right in front of her, I accepted the affections of other women. I am very handsome and have a good personality. My family is also quite wealthy, so as soon as I appeared, I would attract everyone's attention. I never lacked admirers. Before, to reassure her, I would firmly reject the advances of other girls and devote myself entirely to her. But now I accepted everyone. Except for her, no matter who sent flowers, I would accept them with a smile and thank each person. It was as if I was deliberately provoking her. Tsundere could only watch as I grew closer and closer to members of the opposite sex around me. She couldn't do anything. Between us, from beginning to end, we were just ordinary classmates. She had no right to interfere with my social freedom. I told her this explicitly after one incident where she lost control while drunk and hit a woman who had given me flowers after I slapped her. As time went on, the slap mark faded, but those words were branded onto her heart, becoming a noose hanging over her head, a needle piercing her body, making it unforgettable and deeply ingrained. Gradually, Tsundere started to get used to seeing me surrounded and adored by many. She also had to admit that I was right. I was never her private property. After being rejected again and again, she slowly became numb. No matter what hurtful words I said or what kind of look I gave her, she no longer felt any pain in her heart. She counted the times from 1 to 50, from winter to spring and then to early summer. She thought that life would continue like this, uneventfully, from 50 to 100, and perhaps there would be a 101st time. Soo-Yun-Roo never intended to give up. Just when she thought she could truly let go of everything, a change occurred. I appeared before her, holding another woman's hand, and smilingly told the people nearby that this was my girlfriend. At that moment, Soo-Yun-Roo felt as if her world was collapsing. She thought I was just playing around with those women, putting on a show for her. She never imagined that I would one day accept someone else. But when that day happened, right before her eyes, blood rushed through her entire body, and she instantly lost all reason. She charged straight forward, wanting to demand an explanation. Before she could even reach me, she was stopped by a security guard who happened to be on patrol. Behind a wall of people, with red eyes, she hoarsely yelled out, "Why?" My gaze lingered on her for a second. I said indifferently, "I'm young and rich, and I have plenty of free time. What's wrong with dating beautiful women? Does it bother you?" Soo-Yun-Roo was devastated for a long time because of this. She drank herself into oblivion alone at bars, getting utterly drunk every night, with no one to watch over her. Every day when she woke up, looking at the empty surroundings, she would fall into an unbearable state of pain. Being far from home, without family or friends, and the agony of unrequited love, all became thorns in her heart, impossible to remove. Occasionally, when she was completely drunk, a desperate thought would surface, to go find me and beg me to break up. But every time she approached me and saw me holding hands with my new girlfriend, smiling happily, she would lose the courage to take another step forward. Soo-Yun-Roo had known me for 2 years, but she had never seen such a happy smile on my face, because the days we were together couldn't even be called ordinary. To be precise, they were all painful daily routines that were hard to look back on. Just seeing me with someone else was already so painful for her. In the past, when I watched him and Shu Muxing, what kind of feelings did I have? Even now, Soo-Yun-Roo can finally empathize. But it was all too late. He wouldn't listen to his friends' and family's advice, insisting on staying in Milan to find closure. Day after day, so long, yet so self-sacrificing. As the summer heat faded, Soo-Yun-Roo finally heard the news of my breakup. At first, she couldn't believe it. It wasn't until she heard it repeatedly from others that she dared to release the joy that had been suppressed in her heart for so long. She let her emotions out and came to me with a smile, wanting to comfort me. But everything was beyond her expectations. I didn't show any sadness. The way I looked at her was no different from a few months ago, as if she were thin air. The smile on Soo-Yun-Roo's face froze. She tentatively asked me if I had been wronged. This relationship for me was indeed superficial, based on appearance. I was just infatuated with the beauty of a great beauty, which is why we dated for a few months. Now, after seeing her face so much, I've grown a bit aesthetically fatigued. It just so happened that the girl was returning home, so I took the opportunity to break up. As for genuine feelings, I did invest some, but not a lot. So after the breakup, besides a slight sense of loss at first, I quickly recovered. So when I heard Soo-Yun-Roo ask such an abrupt question, I was momentarily speechless. I stared at her for a while, and finally put on a very polite smile. It was a peaceful breakup. She was willing, and so was I. What's there to be wronged about? Hearing this, Soo-Yun-Roo felt a little relieved. The next second, she was choked by my cold remark. Besides, even if I suffered the greatest injustice, what does it count for compared to what I went through in the past 2 years? Weren't you a direct witness? Why are you shedding crocodile tears here? The last few sarcastic remarks made Soo-Yun-Roo instantly anxious. She wanted to explain, but I didn't give her a chance. I can explain about what happened back then. Hoshin, enough. Any more and it'll be annoying. Soo-Yun-Roo, stop acting in front of me, okay? I no longer appreciate your acting, with its 3 parts indifference, 3 parts heartlessness, and 4 parts whatever. If you're addicted to acting, go back home and find Shu Muxing and your group of sisters, okay? They'll definitely be happy to applaud you. These few words made Soo-Yun-Roo blush, and she no longer had the courage to speak. I pushed her away and walked straight to the academic building. Now that the romance business is over, it's time to focus all my energy on studying. I promised Professor Chen I'd achieve something and return home to repay his kindness. After all that had happened, Soo-Yun-Roo wouldn't be disheartened by my few words anymore. She even regrouped, ready to continue confessing. From the 50th time to the 99th time, from late summer to deep winter. Facing her valiant efforts, the dazzling fireworks confession, the drone flying over Milan, I remained unmoved. I was even somewhat relieved. Relieved that I had corrected everyone around me on how to address me. Now everyone calls me by my English name. Few people know that I'm the one being confessed to. At this point, Soo-Yun-Roo's ideas for confessions had run out. After all, the first 99 attempts failed to move me. She was truly helpless. Finally, it was with a friend's reminder that she came up with a new idea. For the 100th confession, she chose the school's small garden. She set up a giant domino pile array in the garden, spelling out the scene of our first meeting. She hung many starlights on the treetops, planning to light candles in the garden at night to take me back to the past. To trick me into coming, Soo-Yun-ro involved many people and prepared dozens of contingency plans. This time, she would definitely make me understand that she truly fell in love with me at first sight back then, and now she truly regrets her mistakes. Everything was arranged. Only one unexpected thing happened. The appointed time arrived, but the protagonist didn't. None of the people she had enlisted could find me. All the prepared contingency plans failed. Watching her painstakingly prepared surprise about to fall apart, Soo-Yun-ro completely lost control. She drove like crazy, searching every place she could find. The 9 o'clock alarm rang, and the dark forest was instantly lit up by lights. Countless balloons floated up. Petals and feathers fell from the sky. Romantic piano music echoed through the woods. The patter-patter sound was incessant. It was the sound of the domino array automatically falling. One stage ascended per second. After continuing for more than 10 minutes, the moment the last domino fell, all the candles lit up. The place was brightly lit. The lifelike image of swans dancing on the ground. All the surprises were complete. Soo-Yun-ro, however, felt all the strength drained from her body. She leaned against a nearby flower stand, beads of sweat forming on her forehead. Her eyes lost their luster. Nothing else. It was simply because on her right side, the spot specially left empty for the male lead. There was no one. I didn't come to his 100th confession. Just as I didn't go to my own 100th confession, I wasn't at the scene of my own 100th confession. Soo-Yun-ro knew I must have seen through her intentions and deliberately disappeared without a trace. And indeed, it was as she expected. When everything settled, her phone rang. She opened it to an unfamiliar international call. But as soon as she answered, she quickly recognized the voice on the other end. The sound of crashing waves and a few light laughs came through. I heard you're preparing to make your 100th confession tonight. It's a pity I'm not in Milan right now. My apologies. Soo-Yun-ro's heart, which had already turned to ashes, after hearing this familiar voice, flickered back to life a little. She swallowed the pain and resentment in her heart and feigned a casual tone, replying, "It's okay. I'm already very happy that you called me. As long as you're willing, I can prepare for the 101st confession." Her voice carried a hint of anticipation, as if she was already dreaming that I had forgiven her. I didn't want to create such an illusion. I looked at the surging sea before me and the warm sunlight shining on me, my tone tinged with amusement. "No need for that. I'm calling today just to inform you of two things." Soo-Yun-ro's throat moved, her hand gripping the phone tightened, her eyes sparkling with light, whether from a suddenly blossoming hope or the flickering reflections of the candles. "The first thing is a kind reminder. It's winter now and the weather is dry. When you're done playing, blow out all those candles in the garden right away, lest you cause a big fire." Hearing this, Soo-Yun-ro looked up and saw a withered leaf slowly drifting down, spinning in circles. "The second thing is to tell you some good news. I'm in a relationship again. This girlfriend is even prettier than the last one. Your confessions can stop at the 100th. These simple sentences fell into Soo-Yun-ro's mind, yet resonated with countless echoes. In an instant, she felt as if she was under a spell. Brainwashed by these sentences, these repeatedly played sentences, a piercing pain shot through her forehead. Under the intense pain, she lost all strength. With a snap, her phone slipped and hit a candle holder. Unfortunately, for easy arrangement and storage, these candle holders were tied together with silk threads. One candle fell, pulling the adjacent ones down with it. The scorching flames toppled onto the scattered dry leaves and feathers, spreading to the wooden dominoes. The east wind raged, and within a few breaths, a large fire spread through the garden. The towering flames reflected in Soo-Yun-ro's eyes, and the warmth dispelled the cold from her body. But she made no move to escape or call for help. She stood like a statue, becoming a part of the garden. An entire night passed, and the trees in the garden were all burnt to ashes. The only thing to be grateful for was that there were no casualties. When preparing this surprise, for the sake of secrecy, Soo-Yun-ro paid to clear out everyone nearby. When the accident happened, she was the only one around. Firefighters arrived promptly and rescued her just as she was about to be overcome by smoke. Although she narrowly escaped with her life, the dire consequences of her reckless actions could not be erased. This fire enraged the Tsinghua University administration, who adamantly declared they would pursue accountability to the end. As the primary suspect, Soo-Yun-ro was arrested and detained by the police. Upon hearing this news, the Su family was frantic, mobilizing all their connections to try and protect her. But this was an international case, and it was impossible for Su Yunro to get away unscathed. Ultimately, the Su family had to pay half of their family assets and promised to compensate the university at 10 times the cost. Kingda University finally relented. Due to the severe negative impact, Su Yunru spent half a year in prison. She was also put on the EU blacklist and deported, banned from entry for life. As soon as she was released, she was sent to the airport to be repatriated. Seeing everyone around, coming and going, dressed in summer clothes, Su Yunru, feeling dazed as if she had just woken from a dream, finally sobered up a little. So it was already summer. 5 months had passed. He hadn't come to see me even once. After realizing this, complex emotions welled up in her heart. She couldn't tell if it was disappointment or loneliness. There will be plenty of time in the future. There will be another chance to meet again. Su Yunro could only comfort herself this way. But then she turned her head and saw me emerging from the arcade. After several months apart, there was no trace of fatigue on my face. All one could see was a smile that made my eyes crinkle with joy. What distressed Su Yunru the most was not the smile on my face, but the woman I was holding hands with. In prison, she had once asked a few sisters who visited her to find a way to bring her a photo of my girlfriend, to show it to her. Although she only saw it through the window, Su Yunru still remembered that face. But the woman standing beside me now was not the person she remembered. For a moment, she couldn't tell if she had remembered incorrectly or if her friends had made a mistake. Just then I looked up and saw her. I greeted her with uncharacteristic warmth and then openly told her the truth. Well, long time no see. I just got back from a trip to Germany. You're already out, huh? Time really flies. Let me introduce you. This is my new girlfriend, Lele. After Su Yunro returned to China, she tried through several people to send me a message. She asked if I was just acting or if I was serious. I didn't reply to her. As things stood now, I had completely seen through Su Yunro. She said she liked me, but in reality, the only person she truly loved was herself. To her, I was nothing more than a tool to show off and satisfy her inflated and distorted ego. Look, Zhang Haoshen, pursued by so many men, willingly grovels at my feet to be manipulated and toyed with. How powerful and twisted must my psyche be? No matter how much she tried to justify or explain herself, in the eyes of someone like Su Yunru, they were all just excuses. So I couldn't be bothered to respond to her anymore, and I disdained to do so. No matter if she tried to prove herself 100 times, 200 times, or 1,000 times, I would not give her any more attention. I had no need to waste my time on someone like her. In my second year of studying in Milan, I seized the opportunity to participate in many competitions, broadening my horizons and gaining recognition. I was busy researching the latest fashion trends with teachers and classmates. When I had free time, I would gather with my friends. During breaks, I traveled the world with my blonde, blue-eyed girlfriend, experiencing a beautiful life together. Life is so long. I still have a vast, unpredictable future to explore. How could I once again misjudge people and wallow in self-pity? Days passed one by one. Soon, my 3-year exchange student life came to an end. I returned home with a suitcase full of gold awards. As soon as I got off the plane, I saw my parents and several dorm mates holding flowers, waiting to welcome me. It had been too long, and I was also very excited. I ran forward and hugged everyone. The group, chatting warmly, headed to the restaurant we had booked. There I met Professor Chen, whom I hadn't seen in 3 years. I solemnly placed the suitcase in front of my esteemed teacher. Raising my hand, I made a small joke. Reporting, Professor, student, has completed the task you assigned and returned. Please inspect my achievements from these 3 years. Professor Chen, of course, knew about the works I designed abroad, but after a long reunion, he was happy to share a few jokes with me. He gently patted my shoulder and feigned seriousness. You must not become arrogant or complacent. You must continue to strive for greater heights. His words made everyone present laugh. The professor's wife enthusiastically invited everyone to sit down and eat. Amidst toast and clinking glasses, there was an atmosphere of joy. After a satisfying meal, I took out several invitation letters from my bag and distributed them, my eyes full of smiles. Today I invited everyone here to gather, not only to reminisce about old times. Actually, I also wanted to invite everyone to my fashion show that I've been preparing for a long time. Hearing this, even Professor Chen showed a shocked expression. The fashion show is in Milan. Then I definitely have to go and review it properly, review the results. My dorm mates also started screaming one after another. When is it? If I go get a visa now, it should still be in time, right? Haoshen, we want VIP seats. Hearing everyone's excited reactions and their tone truly happy for me, my heart warmed. This fashion show is hosted by my mentor in Milan. And because of my 3 years of hard work, I achieved remarkable results. That's why I got the opportunity for this exhibition, to showcase my own work. This is also my first time stepping onto such a big stage, so I feel it's necessary to share this precious stage with all those who truly cherish me. And the people I invited did not disappoint my expectations. On the agreed date, they all arrived at the airport together, not a single one missing. With my aspirations and expectations for the future, I boarded this flight with everyone, a flight that might just open a new chapter in my life. Before departure, I turned around one last time to look at my surroundings. Outside the boarding gate, I saw a very familiar figure. It was Su Yunru. But my gaze did not linger on her, because I knew she didn't have the qualifications to enter Milan, nor would she ever again possess the ticket to step into my life. We were merely two strangers among the multitude, about to pass each other by.